Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is The Local Live.
Good evening, I'm Anthony Carlo.
And I'm Ashley Ballone. Welcome to The Local Live.
We're here, as always, to bring you the local news happening in Larchmont and Mamaroneck.
Without any further ado, let's get started.
Looking for an excuse to travel? Our live roundtable talks trips.
Westchester County Executive Rob Astorino's $1.8 billion no-tax HIPE budget passes.
Home inspections in Mamaroneck. More details coming up.
What did Save the Sound report about our water quality? Stay tuned. And guess which local team shines in our LMC TV Play of the Week?
A rockin' holiday toy drive? Rebecca Berman reports.
More holiday celebrations in our community. The tree lighting social is in the spotlight.
Meet Chanel, our pet of the week. Let's find her a forever home. On December 9th, Rob Astorino's 2015 budget was passed by the Westchester Board of Legislators. The budget avoids a large increase in the tax levy for the fifth straight year.
The $1.8 billion budget does not raise the property tax levy, contains no layoffs, and maintains and improves the delivery of essential services.
Also on last Tuesday, Mr. Astorino was the speaker at the Larchmont and Mamaroneck Local Summit. And the Michael Brown and Eric Garner cases, he was asked about what the county is doing regarding preventative measures to avoid incidents between police and civilians. Here's his response.
We run the police academy here in Westchester, so all of the local police departments use, as the rookies are training, they come through Westchester County's police academy. So we're working constantly on issues on how to deal with race relations, on how to deal with autistic kids. But there are issues. There are issues. And you can't discard how African Americans feel about law enforcement. But you can't also just say all law enforcement is bad.
At the summit, Rob Astorino also talked about the county's budget, taxes, infrastructure, and housing. As always, LMC TV was covering the entire meeting, and it is available online at lmctv.org.
In other news, the Village of Mamaroneck is doing home inspections in response to a consent order from the Department of Environmental Conservation.
The village will inspect properties for illegal stormwater hookups, including roof downspouts, patio drains, and sump pumps that cause sewer overflows that could be polluting Mamaroneck Harbor and Long Island. And speaking of water in our community, last Thursday, while we were broadcasting our show, Save the Sound, presented updated data regarding local water quality at the Village of Mamaroneck courtroom.
The number one finding from this report is that fecal contamination is highest in the streams, creeks, and rivers that run through our communities and flow to the shorelines.
Found data. We started our program last summer.
Fecal.
This was our second year. We are sampling during the recreational season from June through September. We're testing for fecal indicating bacteria. We use two. We use fecal coliform predominantly, but we're shifting to Enterococcus. It's a little detailed, but the state is in the process of shifting the indicator they accept, and looks like they're going towards Enterococcus, and that's what we use at the beaches. So probably going to be doing just that going forward. But this past season, it's mostly fecal coliform. It's just a different way of measuring. Same thing, basically. Enterococcus does the job a little better. It's more accurate. And we post the data on the website. So the data's up there right now. We are in the process of working on a new database that's going to be much more fabulous and more quickly updated for 2015. And not only is it going to be visual with a map and color coding of what the scores of the data is, so it's really easy to understand, but we're also opening it up to all other sources of pathogen data for the whole sound. So it'll be our data plus the county beach data, the town data, the state data. We really want to have as much data density as we can for the whole sound so people can really get a regional view. So again, open invitation to anyone who has current data sets.
Another important finding is that the Beaver Swamp Brook site near Rhinebeck High School had the highest single sample of fecal contamination in the Mamaroneck watershed.
If you want to learn more about the Save the Sound presentation, the video is available on lmctv.org. You can also check the Save the Sound website at www.savethesound.org.
Now it's time for In the Media. Here's a look at what's trending in local news outlets.
20 years to life. That's the sentence for the Mamaroneck mother who admitted to killing her 4-year-old son 2 years ago. Find out more about the case, the decision, and Manuela Morgado in the patch. Code Week is in full force and effect in Larchmont and Mamaroneck, in the schools and at the libraries. You can read all about it in The Loop and the Mamaroneck Daily Voice. And by the way, we're not talking zip, Morse, or secret codes. It's computer coding. Mamaroneck High School's art show begins now, and student works will be on display into January. Get the details in the patch. Also in the patch are the results of last year's survey of Mamaroneck High School students about their intellectual, social, and emotional engagement. Highlighted is that more than 90% of students feel safe at the school. Free money! We knew that would get your attention. Find out in The Loop how taking a selfie could land $1,000 in your wallet. And that's what's in the media this week. I'm Maura Carlin.
You're watching the local live on LMC TV.
Do you ever feel like you really just need a break? From work, from school, from the usual routine? I don't know about you, but I sure do, and right about now. Can you say vacation? Well, we're going to talk about why you need one and why travel can be good for the body and soul.
As always, we want you to join in the conversation. You can participate in the discussion by phone, email, or tweet us.
So joining us this evening are psychologist Dr. Juliet Glinski, travel writer Lisa Skriloff, and travel advisor Kristen Fernandez.
Whether you want to plan a getaway, see the world, or find a way to refresh, this is your chance. Let's hear from you.
So Dr. Glinski, I'm going to actually start with you, Juliet.
Yes.
Are there physical and mental health advantages to going on to vacation travel?
Right. I love that you're asking that question because I sort of feel like, of course there are, right? Isn't it obvious? And actually there are some people that have actually researched those questions, so we have some evidence that I think pretty much sums up what we already know, which is that yes, it is good for our mental health and our physical health. You know, I think some of the studies are really pretty compelling. We're talking reductions in heart disease. Men who take not weekly vacations, yearly vacations.
That would be nice.
Yes, they have lower rates of heart disease and heart attacks, and even the death rate was, I read somewhere, where was it, that men who take an annual vacation were shown to have 20%, men who don't take an annual vacation have 20% higher rate of death. And then for women, the psychological impact of a vacation every year seems to be very, very important. Lower rates of depression, stress, sleep is better, and interestingly, even after a vacation is over, people tend to sleep better, like 20 minutes more and sleep better, even after the vacation. So the effects kind of last, which is interesting, yeah. And lower hypertension, and I mean, there's all kinds of things, but, so it just sort of confirms.
There was a study that the U.S. Travel Association did last year, and they interviewed about 1,100 people about their relationships and traveling with their loved ones. And it was, I believe it was 83% came back saying that their relationships, they felt as though it carried over. You know, they bonded when they were on the trip, but even, you know, 3 months later, they still were carrying over that bond and that.
Well, let me ask you, we're going out of order, but since you raised that issue, sometimes those family vacations, which I often call trips instead of vacations when you got the kids, can be more stressful, or is that ultimately not the case? And I'm going to start with the doctor.
Again, I think we all know that can be the case. But I think you need to define, as a family, you need to define what you want the vacation to be. I mean, there's so many different kinds of vacations. You know, there's the relax on the beach vacation, there's the adventure trip, there's the let's go to a foreign country and immerse ourselves in a different culture. There's so many different ways to travel, and different family members like different things. And I think you have to define that before you decide and call, you know, a travel agent about it.
Well, I actually want to talk about that, because what if your family members all want different things? I mean, you're shaking your head, Lisa, so let me get you in this conversation.
There are many kinds of vacations that you can take together, and everyone can do their own thing. We were talking earlier about cruise vacations. On a cruise, there are areas for the teens to go. There are romantic places for the couple to go. If you have an extended family, it's great for, you know, an elderly relative who has a walker to get around on a cruise ship. My family just went to Mohonk Mountain House, and my mom was able to walk around the entire property with a walker, and there are lots of activities. So it's easy to find, and also, not to be underestimated, let the family go their own way during the trip. Not everyone has to be together all the time and say, okay, we agree, we'll meet back for dinner at 6. See you then.
Okay. Well, what's the best way to start thinking about that type of trip you want? Is it to talk to your family, or usually the parents plan it?
Mm-hmm. Well, with the parents and kids, what the parents say goes.
I like that rule.
But then again, if the kids are not happy, then probably the parents are not going to be happy. But you absolutely do want to think first who you're traveling with. So is it the whole family? Is it just a couple? Is it an extended family? And what are you trying to get out of the trip, too? Are you looking for a new city where you're going to have every day planned with the museums and the tours, or you want to not have a plan and just show up someplace and see what happens? So it's good to have a conversation before you take off.
And Kristen, how can you help? Because a lot of people don't realize how a travel advisor can really help them get the trip together.
Right. So, you know, we work very closely with our clients. It's a collaboration. So, and we let them drive it. We have some clients that will come to us and they love doing the research. So they've already done the research and they have an idea of where they want to go, and now they just want to help piece it all together. And then we have other clients that will say, you know, we want to take a trip and we have these ages, or we have this multi-generational family. What would be good suggestions? And we start from ground zero with them and start to, you know, to focus on destinations and flights and duration of time, and is it cultural, is it beach, do they want a little bit of everything? And get some of the anchors in as far as, you know, general destination. Do they have passports for the little kids? Are they going to need to get passports for the little kids?
The details people often don't think about, or they overlook.
Exactly, and just take it step by step together, you know, focusing on what they want to accomplish, what the ages are, and what the time is that they have, and work from there.
It seems like there are two big reasons people give for not going on vacation. One, they don't have the time, and two, they don't have the money. So let's start with the money piece. Mm-hmm. What do you need to be able to spend? Like, you know, how much can you get by putting together a vacation?
From our
Travel.
perspective, I always say to people, there's a fixed cost and there's the variable cost. The airlines these days are somewhat fixed. It is what it is. The flights are expensive. So you just have to look at your wallet. We start there. You look at your wallet and say, can you afford to get on the plane? Forget about getting off the plane and where you're going to stay. And if the answer is yes, take it to the next step. If the answer is no, there's plenty of great destinations that you can drive to from this area. You know, you've got beaches, you've got mountains, you've got other cities that you can go and explore. You can do it in 2 days, you can do it in 10 days. The road trip is great. I think we can, you know, dive into that a little bit further, but certainly great road trips around here. And then you know, from there, there are a lot of different accommodation options. I mean, there's apartment rentals if you want to do something. There's condominiums. There's 5-star luxury hotels as well, and everything in between. So from a budget perspective, I feel confident, at least with our clients, we're always able to work within any budget.
And so I was just going to say that once somebody has asked a question, I think leading up to where Maura was going next, is what, with the existence of cell phones and emails today, when you go on a trip, how can you turn off, and or should you not turn off? I think it's a bit of a psychological question as well as and it enters all the areas that you guys are specialized in.
It also deals with family dynamics.
Right.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So we're going to go to you, Juliet.
Oh, it's a reality. We're all plugged in. And it is, again, I think it's one of those decisions that you have to, do we want to consciously decide that this is an unplugged vacation where we are going to leave the cell phones in the condo or the hotel room and go off on the beach, you know, or is it a working vacation? And I mean, every family has to decide what their personal rules are about all of that. But it's a reality in today's world that we are so connected in so many ways. It makes it even harder in a way to go on a vacation. And I think, Kristen, you were talking earlier about people requesting specifically to go to places where they either aren't connected or are connected. So,
But on the flip side, the positive side, there is something very convenient these days where you can be standing on a street in Paris and not know where you're going and look at your Google Maps and find out, or you can't find a taxi and there's Uber around the world these days, straight from the
Kristen's helped me with travel to Paris, and you can be in Paris and have something not go quite right, or you need something and you can call your travel advisor, and it's really easy. So there's a lot of upside to it. I agree.
And also, I find it comfortable knowing that I am connected. I don't like to be unplugged. I know if I have an emergency call that's going to come in, then I'm available and I'm not disconnected. And if there's, you know, not any emergency work calls, then I feel comfortable knowing I'm not missing anything.
Right. And also, I was going to say, and then afterwards, you know, after you've done your business call, you know, hey, we're going to dinner, we're relaxing, I can wake up, I don't have to get up early, and get, you know, and oh my God, I got to check my emails. So you still can do a little bit of both.
But can I say there's a consensus that there should be a time, so I can report to my husband, that there should be a time when the cell phones are off or we're not reachable?
You could tell him we said that.
Okay, perfect.
I think there's a lot to be said for the out-of-office email.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I was going to say one other thing, too, about the whole idea of being connected, because it so often is about work. Maybe not for, like, my teenage daughter, it's not, but for a lot of adults, it's about work. And I think one of the things that we should probably talk about is how important it is to take a vacation, not just for your physical health and your mental health, but it's actually better for your productivity at work, too. So,
in what way?
Well, like I read that Ernst & Young did a study that the more vacation time you took, the better your reviews were by your boss. Or,
that's crazy.
or CEOs reporting improved productivity among the people that vacationed more. So there's something in our brains. We really do need a break from the routine. And it also, going, especially for travel overseas and foreign places, it does a great deal for our creativity. We're actually using, when we're in a foreign place or we have to find out how to use public transportation or try to speak the language, the neurons in our brain are firing in a different way than they do when we're just doing our usual routine.
But in speaking with that study, I was going to say the guilt factor. Someone has asked a question about that how many vacations can you take without feeling horrible that you left your job or, you know, to go on the vacation? And there's that whole thing in combined with how you're talking about that. It's great.
Do you see that?
Well, I think some people, kind of tying in the connectivity, some people feel as though having that connection allows them the freedom to leave the office. So there's a benefit. I mean, yes, you need to be able to turn off and get away completely and rest. But at the same time, I think the comfort level of being able to go to some destinations and still just be able to check in periodically, or if there's absolutely an emergency back home, they can find you. And it allows many of our clients the ability to leave the office, get on a plane, go away, and come back a week later and still feel comfortable that
I want to
things
get
are
back to the productivity question, because one of the some of the statistics that come up have to do with how Americans travel less than Europeans, who are really have more vacation days and travel more. However, the criticism is always that their productivity is not what American productivity is. Has anyone looked at that or considered it? And you're kind of shaking your head.
Well, I was actually thinking about a similar study of actually how it's good for business for people to take vacations. And as someone who works for myself, and in preparation for our conversation, I saw that there was an American Express study that showed that business owners have their best ideas when it's during their downtime. And they come back, and those are the ideas that propel their business as well. So, and actually, small businesses are the fastest growing types of businesses in the country and are employing the most number of people, even if it's one or two. And so I think that's good for the economy.
Interesting. Okay, did you have another question? Yes.
What are some of the things that people can do to immerse themselves in the culture when you're on a vacation?
Walk. Walk, don't take a taxi. I think getting lost in a city and in a destination where you have to engage other people, jump on public transportation, you have to ask questions. You're going to find the great little spots to pop into to get the local coffee or to see where the locals are dining. You know.
And is it the same whether you're traveling in another country or just traveling in this grand, great, huge land?
I'll let if
well, you know, I think anywhere you go, I like to go and do what the locals do, and then I also like to do what I'm interested in. So it could be any city in the U.S. or abroad. I like to say to you know, a regular person, where do you like to go? Not where do tourists go, where do you like to go? And I like to go to that place. And also, as you know, I like to dance, and as a writer for Dance Travel News, I always look for, whenever I travel, where can I try the local dance? So in Buenos Aires, tried tango dancing. You were mentioning Cartagena to try salsa dancing. So I enjoy that, and that's a good way to meet local people who love to enjoy what you like.
And I have another question from one of somebody who emailed us in, and they want to know, they usually travel in a group with friends. What are the benefits to them traveling by themselves and switching it up and not traveling with their friends?
I'm a big fan of traveling with friends. We often do that. I think it's a lot of fun. And I think if you are traveling with children, if you're lucky enough to have friends that you get along well with and have kids that your kids are friendly with, I think, you know, that makes for everyone's happier then. Because even if, you know, everyone's not doing an activity that they want to do at that moment, at least they have their buddy to complain about it with.
Right.
So I think I'm a big fan of it, but I think you have to know thyself, and you have to know if you're not a person who wants to, you know, be hanging out with other people on your vacation, you need to know that. I also think it's a good idea, if you aren't sure if you can travel well with friends, probably best not to maybe start with renting a house together, maybe get hotel rooms or condos near each other in the same resort, and then if you figure out that you can live with them, then maybe a house rental or something is a good idea.
So you're not really there together, but you're together.
Yeah, together.
Right.
I'm going to pivot the discussion a little to, a lot of people in this country save for those big Disney trips. I mean, I've seen it being at a theme park when you hear people talking about it. Now, I'm going to throw him under the bus, but my husband says that between Disney and Vegas, you can see the world. I'd love you guys to comment on that.
Without throwing my husband under the bus? Or?
Feel free. Mine's there already.
I'm going to let Kristen take it.
I think it's a personal choice. I mean, I think it's a big world, and I think there's a lot of great experiences out there. You know, Vegas and Disney serve a wonderful purpose. It's magical in Disney. We were there with our family in September, and the kids love it. I personally, I like the authenticity of going to the actual destination. But again, there are some people who are very, very comfortable seeing the Eiffel Tower in Vegas and don't necessarily want to, you know, jump over the pond and head to France.
Well, speaking of, did you want to say something, Lisa?
Well, as someone who's been to Vegas 20 times,
okay.
and have what you could say a satellite office, but really a condo in Vegas, I do like things that are on the Strip, like the Eiffel Tower, but there's also a lot of things, as they say, outside of the area. I personally, in Vegas, am very intrigued by the old Rat Pack kind of places.
Right.
And so I always try to go to the little restaurants where the waiter would say, Frank Sinatra, that was his booth.
Right.
Why don't you sit there? And so I think you can find that kind of thing if you look for it.
I want to ask if you've seen a change in the way Americans travel, or if and when they travel, in the post 9/11 world. I mean, it's certainly more of a hassle to travel than it used to be. But is there fear, or the impression that Americans are disliked overseas, or that they'll be abducted overseas, for that matter?
I don't think that it absolutely has changed, but I don't think it's terribly different. I've traveled for many, many years, and I remember going on a trip to Morocco not long after I was in college, and I was perceived at first, Americans, and I was with 4 girlfriends, and they thought, Americans are rich, and then the price went up for the rug or whatever we were looking at. But since we had just come from Spain and we could speak Spanish, if we spoke in Spanish and let them think that we came from Spain, the price was lower. So I know that Americans really have a reputation and always have. But as far as the security in travel, that's definitely changed and something that's a factor now.
And the discomfort on the airplanes? Does that come up in your business? People, are concerned about a long flight, for example, in cramped quarters, or having a flight being canceled, or all the things that can happen, losing luggage, all the things that can happen on a vacation.
Well, I think some of it actually goes to Juliet's points before, the health and well-being side of it, and a lot of it is challenge. You're taking yourself out of your comfort. I mean, you live at home and you have your schedule and everything is comfortable and easy. And when you travel, you're placing challenges ahead of yourself. There are going to be delays. There are going to be issues. There is going to be something served to you.
So
Exactly.
you have to go prepared to be surprised.
I have a fun question for you. What, and I think all 3 of you maybe will have an answer, what is the most unusual vacation that you've planned for somebody and or helped or talked to them about or
gone
was
on.
a part of or gone on, you're right.
Oh gosh, unusual.
Yeah, this is a real brain teaser.
Unusual. Yeah, exactly. I don't know about unusual. I mean, we have a lot of very fabulous trips all around the world.
But something that you wouldn't normally have helped someone with, I guess.
Right. I don't know. Mine are usually, they're more little crisis things that happen periodically, where someone needs something at the last minute.
Right.
It tends to be related to passports
Yes.
and visas.
Right.
Right.
Like, I'm at the airport, I don't have my passport.
But all these little hassles.
But the good thing is that it's all come together in the end.
All these little hassles, though, in your question about how long the flights are and how uncomfortable they are, I think it's almost a testament to how important travel is, how much we actually, for the most part, love it, that we tolerate all of that and we deal with the lines and everything. And I do think it's a factor. I mean, I know my son definitely asks, how long is the flight going to be, wherever we're going to go? It's a factor more so for some people than others. Some people will take, a connecting flight and, have long waits and be okay with it and just, it's fine. And others want a direct flight no matter what. And I'm sure you get all kinds in your...
And I think probably this is your department, but I think it's your attitude. If you're thinking, well, what if the plane is delayed? Well, do I have books, magazines? Do I have my iPad? What if we have to spend the night? Well, do I have a change of clothes? So if you're prepared and you have the right attitude and expect the unexpected, then I think you're going to be better off.
I had a client last year who was coming back from skiing and missed a connection flight in Atlanta, and they had to stay overnight because it was the last flight they had missed coming back home. And they rolled with it. But she did say at the end, when she got to the next hotel, she said it was the best glass of wine that she had had after that.
We actually have an email.
Yes, we do. Hang on, which question are we up to? Let's see. Somebody wants to know what the best city to travel in after a breakup, and they wrote Miami, question mark.
Miami's fun. There's
Miami's
great
fun if you
nightlife.
haven't had a breakup. It's gonna be
Yeah,
great.
Miami, absolutely.
Right,
I
that
would
was
say
good.
San
Miami
Juan,
Beach,
yeah, Las
Miami
Vegas.
Beach.
I'd like to
Vegas.
actually, you're talking about single people travel, what I'll call niche travel, groups for singles or put together trips for families or LBGT families or single or age-based or multi-generational. How would that work if you wanted to go on, a safari with people, of single-parent families, let's say? Do those things exist and work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a couple of different companies that will do just singles departures, for example. And then there are just organizations that just by the nature of how they're set up. I mean, Backroads, they do the bike trips and they do walking trips all around the globe. They do multi-sport trips and a phenomenal job because by the nature of how they set things up, you're in a small group of maybe 8 people and there are activities and you have a guide with you. So you can have your individuality, but also, if you have the social aspect as well with the other people that are traveling.
How does that differ from the proverbial, I think there was a movie, if it's Tuesday, it must be Paris, and Wednesday, it's Belgium. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where you're on a set tour. Are they still like that, or is there more flexibility built in?
There's a little bit of everything. So, and again, some people love that there's going to be a person with a flag and they're going to follow the leader and be told exactly where to be and when. And others like more of the self-guided, whereby there might be one activity throughout the day, and then you have the afternoon to go off and explore, and then you'll meet together for dinner.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
This person wants to know, what is the state of the traditional American road trip, which I think you had brought up earlier? And are people still doing cross-country trips like that?
I'll let if anyone wants to jump in. I mean, we don't necessarily see the cross-country so much. Coming back to full circle, it's the time. Most people can't get that much time, but absolutely in the summertime particularly, out west, lots of road trips. People will go into Las Vegas, go to the Grand Canyon, head up to Bryce and Zion, finish off in Salt Lake City and fly home. People will do trips, from here down south as well, LA to San Francisco.
And they rent campers or they go in their own car?
Well,
or
there's
rent a car?
Yeah, usually a rent-a-car and some camping possibly. Houseboating on Lake Mead and Lake Powell is a big hit.
Oh, that's neat.
Where people will go to Las Vegas, head out to the lakes, houseboat for a couple nights, which is kind of like camping on the water, and then, continue on and drive from there up to the Grand Canyon and continue on. But maybe hotel stays or some campgrounds mixed in.
Go ahead, Lisa.
And all of these trips, they do have that niche angle that you were talking about. LGBT travel is very big, and a lot of, I just read about a safari that is very LGBT friendly, gay friendly to travelers. And a lot of hotels are promoting the fact that they're gay friendly. There's a gay travel conference that's helping those travel marketers understand how to reach this market, which is a very attractive travel market.
Juliet, I just want to go back to the road trip for a moment. Isn't like being in the car with your family kind of an incubator for family squabbles? And how do you avoid that?
I think you really need to know yourself and really need to know your family as to whether, being together for that much time without the space. And I think you really need to think through it. I think you need to think about the ages of your kids and what their individual personalities, what they like to do. And I think it is nice if you can give everyone something that they like to do. And I actually, going back to what we talked about in the beginning, I like the idea of including your kids in the conversations about travel, even if the parents are the ones that decide ultimately, because they have great ideas and you want them to have fun. I mean, that's really the point of it all. So I like the idea.
We actually have another email.
Yeah, yes, we do. So this is on a totally different topic than what we were just talking about, but America is the only developed nation that doesn't legally have any.
I
you like a different one.
No, I think we were being told to ask a different one.
Oh, okay. Yes, it was this one.
Sorry, we're having a little trouble finding the...
Yes, here we go.
You need a vacation.
We definitely do.
Okay. Advice on
There you
re-entry.
go.
And when you take a fabulous vacation, how do you avoid depression after the vacation's over? And this person who wrote in said they always have a very hard time with that.
Yeah.
Or I will add
It's
that
hard when you've had someone clean up your towels in the bathroom and bring you coffee and
Sleeping in and
exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard. Re-entry is really, really difficult.
So Juliet, this one's for you.
I think, well, one practical thing, I think it's probably a good idea to give yourself a day before you have to get back to reality. I have one friend who, it's like 2 days, you know, I think that's a helpful thing. Anticipate things like jet lag ahead of time, so don't have your fullest day the first day back if you can help it. And as far as being depressed that it's over, this is not a research statistic, but I just feel like if you look at the whole vacation, it's not just the vacation itself. It's the planning beforehand and like the build up and the discussion.
Anticipation.
And my husband and I just planned a vacation, really he did, and the fun of it is like talking about what we're going to do, and there's like 10 to 20% of the fun is that. And I think another 10 to 20% of the total fun is afterwards talking about it, remembering it, showing pictures of it. And I think that you may not be able to, you know, get rid of feeling down afterwards, but you can have sort of keep it alive a little bit longer afterwards, and then of course start planning your next vacation as soon as you're, you know, done with the first one.
Right. Otherwise, you'll be like me crying on the subway to work and be like, oh, I can't believe it.
Of course, if you didn't take a picture, it didn't really happen. We are actually running out of time, but I did want to ask you all one last question, which is there one trip that you would recommend that every American try to make? Travel experts.
I think you need to, everyone has their bucket list, and you can't go through life with any regrets. So you figure out what your bucket list item is, and that might be a safari, it might be going to Disney, it might be a trip to China, and you just have to do your individual trip.
Lisa?
Well, I can actually answer that two ways. One, I do happen to love Spain, and so I would recommend Spain to any traveler. And I also did learn how to scuba dive, and I went scuba diving, and that's really a not to be missed experience. But I almost think of it in terms of somebody's dream. When you say what should somebody's dream trip be, then I like to think about them thinking of their dream trip and taking that dream trip, whatever it is, and not denying themselves and trying to make it happen no matter what it is, so they feel that they accomplished what they had in their mind.
Okay. And Juliet, I'm going to ask you a different question. Can you write prescriptions for vacations?
I wish.
We are out of time. We'd like to thank our guests, Dr. Juliet Glinski, Lisa Skriloff, and Kristen Fernandez.
And keep watching. We'll be back with more community stories in a minute.
All right. We went way longer.
Wow.
Hi, I'm State Senator George Latimer, and I encourage you to watch every week The Local Live. I was going to say something like, I live in Rye, but if I lived in Larchmont and Mamaroneck, I would watch The Local Live every week. I just remind. Thank you.
This week in sports, the Mamaroneck ice hockey team faced Rye at the newly renovated Hommocks Park ice rink. The game was tied heading into the final minute of regulation when Ryan LeBlanc made a perfect pass off the boards to Will Arbo, setting up the LMC Varsity Sports Play of the Week.
Under a minute left to go, third period. If it's still tied, we will have overtime. But a 2-on-1 developing for Mamaroneck. Arbo shoots. He scores! It was tremendous recognition by Ryan LeBlanc as well, as we have a timeout for Rye. Recognizing that 2-on-1 was there, he found Arbo, and then with the 2-on-1, Arbo saw the defender kind of leaning towards the other man and just stuck with it, took the shot, went far post, and nailed it.
How often does a toy drive come with rock and roll? Let's take a look at Rebecca Berman's story.
'Tis the season of community and caring. Molly Spillane's and the School of Rock joined together to host a holiday toy drive in honor of a local family as well as Newtown kindness.
So we're big fans of Molly Spillane's and Mike Hines. It was Mike's idea actually to have a toy drive here and to involve us to provide the entertainment and to co-host the event. Molly Spillane's and School of Rock are both very community-focused businesses, and we both are always looking to get the community involved and to give back in whatever way we can. So the holiday toy drive just came out of that spirit of trying to give back and getting everyone in the community to rally around this particular event, and we'll be looking to do more in the future.
They will be giving back to a local family as well as Newtown Kindness, an organization that was created in honor of Charlotte Bacon, a victim of the Sandy Hook Elementary School tragedy. Their mission is to foster acts of kindness in children within their communities.
Anything that we could do to help other communities as well, to represent Mamaroneck, I think works out well for everybody.
We spoke with Nancy, a community member who came by to eat, listen, and give.
This was a brilliant idea of, two different types of companies here in Mamaroneck to create such a, wonderful giving event. This is, fantastic. And my background, I am the co-CEO of Archie Comics, but my background was a teacher, and I know the importance of toys.
If you missed this toy drive and others in the area, you can keep the gift of giving going by continuing your donations. St. Rita's Health Clinic on 144 East Boston Post Road will be having a toy drive tomorrow at 7 p.m. Here's to the season of giving. This is Rebecca Berman for the Local Live.
Not all toys are wonderful. Toxic Toys in Westchester County is a report released today by the New York League of Conservation Voters. The researchers sampled toys on the shelves of many Westchester retailers. Among the findings, some toys contain toxic substances such as lead, cadmium, mercury, and others. To view the full report, go to lmctv.org and click on the link on the homepage.
The holiday celebration started in our community. This week we spotlight the Christmas tree lighting. Let's check it out.
I'm Erica Lynn. I'm here at the Harbor Island Rec Center to see how our community celebrates the annual tree lighting and our holiday season.
Sunday kicked off the holiday events here in Mamaroneck as Mr. and Mrs. Claus ditched the reindeer and sleigh for a convertible and fire truck assembly. Sandy Corcat sits with the details.
Well, this is the village's annual tree lighting social. We've got many volunteers and village employees coming together with our great sponsors to really kick off the festive holiday season, and we're really happy to have everybody down here at Harbor Island Park.
Villagers piled into Santa's workshop and lined up for an opportunity to tell him what they truly wished for on December 25th.
What did you tell Santa you wanted for Christmas?
Lego.
You want to tell everyone what you want for Christmas?
Well, really what I want is like an Xbox One or like a Wii U. Would really like another puppy or dog.
A puppy or a dog? Well, we'll see what we can do. You might have to talk to your mom about that, not Santa.
Yeah.
Jack Saraceno with the inside scoop on how this year's event was a little different.
I've always driven Santa and Mrs. Claus to this event. It's a great event, and they've changed the venue this year in that we used to be in the main room, and now we're over here in the side room over here, and it's a great thing for the kids, and they all like to take the pictures, and the parents are getting involved in the pictures this year too, so it's really great.
I got an exclusive interview with the Clauses to ask them how long they've been volunteering.
Santa and I, how long have we been doing this, Santa? One of the kids asked us,
8 to 10 years, I think?
At least 8 years. But one of the children asked us how long we've been married, and we had to think about it, and we said, it's forever.
Following pictures and candy canes were hot chocolate and refreshments and digital games for the kiddies.
What did Santa Claus say?
Here I found Taya's mom.
She said she wanted a puppy, by the way.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck, Taya.
Sorry, Taya, I tried.
Live music for the adults. And outside, of course, the tree lighting.
3, 2, 1!
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Everybody comes together so great. We're really grateful for the Parks Department and all the other departments. They really came through, helping us decorate and getting that tree up. You know, Mamaroneck does it right.
From public officials to volunteers, everyone's come together to create this event for the community. I'm Erica Lynn, reporting for the Local Live. Happy holiday from our family to yours.
Meet Chanel, our pet of the week. She was brought to the New Rochelle Humane Society by her family, who bought her in a pet shop as a puppy and is now just 8 months old. The family didn't know how to house train her and consequently made many mistakes. In the end, they gave up and surrendered Chanel to the Humane Society. They will be willing to educate any adopters and provide a crate to aid in the house training. For more information on how to adopt this puppy, go to www.newrochellehumanesociety.org.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you for watching, and remember, we want to hear your input. Write us with stories and for volunteer opportunities online at thelocallive@lmctv.org.
And of course, if you missed this broadcast, you can tune in any night of this week at 7:30 p.m. to watch again. Channel 75 on Cablevision and 36 on Verizon. For LMC TV, I am Ashley Balone.
And I'm Anthony Carlo. We'll see you next week.
Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is The Local Live.
Nice. Do you want to tell the camera Merry Christmas from the Local Live?
Yeah.
Okay, say Merry Christmas. One, 2, 3.
Merry Christmas.
From the Local Live.